Let your curiosity rise.
Matrix webcast,
Where the human spirit flies. Matrix webcast. Where the human spirit flies.
Hey, welcome to the Medbix webcast. This is Ramana Namaraju. I'm the host. You know, that is a new intro for us. It's like wake you up all. It wakes you all up because I wanted to catch the next TikTok generation. So that's what I did. Okay, this is kind of a new thing for me, but I did that. But anyway. Let me introduce you my co-host. I told you that I have a tagline for her. She's a better looking, better talking, and brilliant. All three B's, okay? And she's my co-host. Let me bring the Susan Davis. She's a doctor of nursing practice. Let me bring her to the table. No. Yeah, let me just take this one
There
out.
we are.
Yeah, take it out.
Got it?
Yeah.
I think I'm on here, Ramana. Good evening, everybody. I
She
think
needs
I'm
to
here.
do all these things. I'm going to train them. That camera is a big problem. So let us talk a little bit of a conversational thing until they join. I'm going to show. Last week, Susan. The Stanford is like an epicenter of the medical field. Stanford, Harvard, and the Emory University. All these are all Vanderbilt. They do a lot of research in the medical field. They do a lot of things. They do. So they put a innovation platform last week, and they put a innovation platform last week. So what they in the platform, there is a lot of very, very important people in the AI side, a lot of artificial intelligence side, a lot of doctors, a lot of technology people. First time I saw that many together, technology people, everybody in the same place. So what they say is,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I need to turn on this. Some days are.
The technology is amazing.
Technology is good, and I can talk with you from here in Florida, but same time, yeah.
Right, multitasking. So we went to
Multitasking.
that was last week, you saying, yes?
Yeah. So I'm going to play some video of that one short clip, and then after that, I will do that. Let me play that video of what they said. This is the technology people say that. Let me add scene and yeah. Okay, this is a. Where is the video? Yeah, video. Okay. I will be in the side. We are going to be in the. See, Hey, this is Ramana Anamraju from Medbix. This is Dr. Anurag Barbie, Dr. Barbie. Let me ask you a question. We just finished a session on the ChatGPT using as a prompt for the AI, the ChatGPT as a. I want to be sorry for that. Actually, there is a lot of people talking. Maybe I put a captions, but I don't know why the captions are not coming. Navia, check it out. Why the captions? I did actually put the captions there. Check it out, please.
I can see them.
You can see. Okay. What do you think? What is the immediate use for the physicians in the ChatGPT? What is the immediate use?
The main use that they have is, actually being able to assimilate patients' historical information, right? What their history of illness is, and all this information is actually buried in notes, which are all natural language. So we basically scour through those notes and try to answer the relevant questions for the patient.
There is another problem with one area. You're an Indian physician. with the name itself will suggest you, there is a self-contradiction. If there is a patient with a self-contradiction, it's a problem for ChatGPT. So where patient comes back uh, with the conflicting information, how do you resolve that? ChatGPT resolve or can give a it can create a problems. ChatGPT, how do you resolve that?
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, all these tools that we are providing, the final decision maker is the physician themselves. It's their responsibility. We are augmenting them with all these tools. So they're learning how to use them. And then at the end of the day, they make the final decision based on all the information, whether it's the information that the patient provides them or it's in the chart or through the discussion that they learn.
Why are you using only ChatGPT? Suppose if you have a problem like that, why don't you use the multiple LLMs, feed the same data, and then you have a validation of your data of the prompt? Why
So we're
don't
not
you-
just using ChatGPT, we are using multiple LLMs in the backend. In fact, the LLMs is something that the way we have architected the solution is we're not necessarily tied to one specific. In fact, I think Dr. Nigam Shah talked about our evaluation regime, where we actually benchmark all these models. And then we make decisions based on the tasks that which LLM provides what task better. We pick that dynamically.
There is a big mistrust among physicians with the EMR. Electronic medical records gave the one-sided. They don't have the feedback loop on the system and the EMR, electronic medical records. Doctors have that mistrust. Why do you think the ChatGPT reduces the work or increases the work? And there is some kind of a skepticism among physicians. What do you think?
I think once people learn how to prompt appropriately, I feel like, which we are helping them with, I think then it's actually because things that take them 30 minutes to find through different places in the EMR, which is a complicated user interface, I think this will save them time.
You know, I'm from Georgia originally. So I place doctors in rural areas. In rural hospitals, how they can benefit is kind of a ChatGPT, kind of LLM backed EMRs or LLM ChatGPT EMR.
Yeah, I think one thing which one of my colleagues in the panel mentioned is, you don't have to learn the whole EMR. You can ask questions in natural language. So that's one benefit, right? Which is, you don't necessarily need to know where all the data is. You can just ask for it. Right? That's one benefit. And then once they want to do this on a larger population and these are repeat tasks, we can automate them.
Can you give one example of in a rural hospital, either in rural Georgia or in rural India, one example of what the benefit of ChatGPT with surgical situation or any other use case? Can you tell me one use case?
So, one thing could be tools like this could also be used for learning, right? Or we could make some of these capabilities that we have made available to other health systems. That's actually one of our mission is in the next year or so, we want to be able to make this capability available to community hospitals who can't afford to build. So that's, I think, what we're trying to do.
One of the things that community hospitals face a big challenge is ER, that patient come with a heart, the cardiac arrest or heart attacks. What do you think ChatGPT can help determine where they stand and without calling a helicopter to the helipad to bring the patients to different hospital or any surgical intervention required, you can get that better information. You can make a better decision through the ChatGPT and all that kind of LLMs.
Yeah, I think GPT does democratize a lot of information that could have been available only to those people who are either in, more sort of health systems with more resources. I think that information, as these systems learn, can be democratized, I think, through GPT.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anurag Barvi. Thank you
so
for
much.
joining. So I'm going to bring, then let us talk a little bit about that. And then I will play other ones, the other two people slowly. Sharaf. So what he's saying is, Susan, general discussion I'm just doing with you. He's saying when the patient walks in with a lot of, that particularly in the cardiac situation, peripheral situation, it can determine whether where is helicopter, what is the immediate transportation, immediate access to the open heart surgery or anything like that requires. It can determine chat GPT. They're creating what is called chat GPT EMR. I don't know what is going to happen to the Epic and other companies. Stanford is creating a chat GPT EMR, this kind of a universal EMR, and then they have the databases of stay in their own place, but ChatGPT guides all the patient's information. It knows about patient, it knows about the doctors, it knows about the situation there, where are the resources available. What do you think in your mind that this will help us, or these people are just it is a light of, what is the, let me ask you, the cardiac arrest, people come to the heart attack with the heart attack or cardiac arrest to the hospital. What do you think? Where is the solution for those kind of people? Immediate solution you can determine immediately from the by doing the patients, by checking the patients.
Well, there's many areas to the question you just asked. Because first of all, I think the multi dimensions of the way AI is being integrated is much different than its very linear topical way it's being used right now. So to your point, you can buy laptops now that are they're AI laptops. So now we have EHRs. There's going to be EHR totally. I mean, and why wouldn't you? So I know there'll be arguments for and against because we know we need to have human-centered care. But I think it's brilliant, and I think the more we use it, the better. Of course, there's always going to be how do we regulate it? How do you keep up with it? I have many questions about that. As far as the determination of need, I work with a colleague right now who has a really interesting hardware that she's created for specifically pediatric emergency response. And so they are doing just that. And they are right now piloting in different hospitals across the country, looking for pilots. It's called PenPal. And it's decision support. It's AI-driven decision support for pediatric emergencies, highly applicable, especially in rural hospitals. So it's here now.
I'm with you. I think we need a democratized EMR. So electronic medical records, ChatGPT EMR is going to replace all these EMRs. I love to see that in the world itself, because the data that comes in, interoperability, you can refer to any doctor, any patient to. Right now, if you want in a rural places, the doctor has a different EMR, and then hospital has a different EMR. You cannot refer him. Then you have to print out everything or fax machine still. All these things will go away. I think artificial intelligence, you can see that is a true benefit in my view.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah,
world will be saved.
It's all about connectivity. Connectivity is the key. So
connectivity.
that's why, A to A right now is a wonderful, very topical, early stage agent, type of a technology that we have, but we know where it's going. It's going to be multi-layered. I think we might have a surprise guest coming on here that can talk more about the agents and the evolution of agents from the, A to A, the basic language that they're speaking, all the way through to these agentic, basically universes, cities that are very autonomous in their abilities. So, he did say something else that stood out to me. He was talking about the prompting. And I know that from a nursing viewpoint, I feel like, again, anyone who's building these technologies, having nurses at the table are so important, because nurses truly are prompt masters when it comes to healthcare. So from the patient viewpoint, all the way through every layer of the AI that's being built, having nurses at the table is imperative.
It's a great input you gave, because he may be watching our program today, that the gentleman that we spoke with right now. So I think, that is, I'm with you on that one. This is, I'm 100%, I think all these EMRs and nonsense and all these things, the security, the connectivity, as you say, connectivity is the ultimate goal, and interoperability is a big problem. We can solve that problem there. Let me play the next video of that. I'm going to bring that again. Next video. Let me that the Sharaf is supposed to join. He is running in the train. He said that is. Let me put that. No, not slides, but
It looks like Dr.
video.
Reddy might be here.
Yeah, maybe join with us. I called him and is supposed to
I
join.
can see him. He's here.
Is he here? Okay.
I think I can see him on the. I think he's on the comments.
Okay.
One benefit, right? Which is, I think that
I'm going to move
information.
the.
AI agents can help in
Okay, this is Sharaf. He's supposed to join with. He's joining with us in a minute.
Oh,
Is a lot of information that could have been available only to those people who are either in, more, sort of health systems with more resources. I think that information, as these systems learn, can be democratized, I think, through GPT.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anurag Barbie. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Let me take a
looks like
picture.
Sam's here too.
With Sam, but I don't see them. This is Ramana from Medbix webcast. This is Sam Sharif. I met him in the quantum computing group. Now he is just this is Stanford summit is going on here, Innovation Summit, and he's talking about a little bit about the healthcare agents, how the AI agents work in the healthcare. Just can you give me just some brief understanding of what the healthcare agents can do, scaling, and one of them you're talking about. Can you give us, Sam, a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So there are 2 or 3 different patterns we are seeing. One is around improving medical subscribers, which is like, hey, can AI agents assist healthcare providers, especially the ones in the front line who are taking customer calls? When you call an advice nurse, or when you try to say like, hey, I have this condition, how can I come to emergency, or what do you advise, right? So that's very basic. At the very front line, AI agents can help improve that. The second is physicians themselves. So what we're finding working with some of the hospitals is that physicians, when they're new, it takes them about 3 to 4 years to get to the same productivity level as a physician who has been there 5+ years. So
You build a, yeah, go ahead.
so that's where the AI agents can really come in and help the new physicians be productive.
Sam, I remember you built Salesforce built Einstein. What happened to that product? Are you still available or?
Yeah, Einstein is still available. We are rebranding it as Agent Force. So the idea is with agentic web and agentic AI, Einstein is still there as a brand, but it's mostly now morphed into agentic AI space.
Thank you, Sam. We'll be in touch with you soon. Let me stop that, and I'm going to bring. Let me talk about agents a little bit. Even I'm trying to understand this agent business. Okay, me and the agent. Where is Oh, okay. It's not joined yet. He may be joining soon.
They are. They're both here.
I don't see them.
Well,
Can
I
you?
can see them on the side. They're both saying I'm here. I can't wait to
Navya,
talk to you.
they're there. Navya, can you get them in? Do you see them, Navya?
No, sir.
I
Oh,
think
they're
they
on the
need.
LinkedIn. Dr. Reddy says they're on the LinkedIn site. I don't think they don't have the link
They're
to come on
watching.
live. They're watching
They're
the show. Well,
watching.
we want them on the show.
They're watching the show. That's what probably they're doing. But I don't know how you saw that one. And maybe LinkedIn they made a comment.
Send them the link on their LinkedIn profile so they can join.
Yeah, can you send them a? Oh, she needs to have access to. Yeah, that. Let me see.
So we have
This
a
is
couple
a very.
surprise guests, everybody watching live, that we
Yeah,
wanted
that's
to
okay.
share with you guys tonight. But I'm with you about the agents. I think it's a super interesting field. It seems to be growing so quickly.
Yeah,
And I
Sam is not.
have questions for Sam.
Sam, can you let their? We cannot see sometimes when they have a browser. I cannot see that.
We're having technical difficulties.
Yeah, just keep talking on it. That's anything.
Okay, so this was meant to be a fireside chat amongst Ramana and I this evening about what the AI happenings out in Stanford last week. And so what we were going to do is hang out and chat. And then inevitably we had a couple of people from, well, actually, Sam's here from the event last week, of course, which I did not attend. but it looks very, very, very interesting. So here I am on Ramana's show live with you without Ramana and our guests. So how cool is that? Ultimately, though, this is fun. We're here live, really digging in today, knowing that these guests were coming on in this impromptu time that we decided to come live and talk about AI agents. And I learned a lot more than I even knew what was happening in the agent world. So I know there was a lot going on with. Have you guys heard about the Nanda project? Super cool. I know it was not long ago. I'm totally going to be off on these dates and times, but it was not long ago that the A2A was released through Google. I know that Nanda and the Nanda project and Google are working with Sam. Sam is with Salesforce AI. So the three of them have come together and doing some amazing things. So hopefully we can get Sam on here and talk about what that is. And also I can tell you about Nanda. I'm the last person you guys need to be hearing from on agents. That's why we have these experts coming on. But this is what you call Vanna winging it on our live show about AI.
Yeah. Okay.
I have some questions when it comes to AI agents. From my perspective. There's Sam.
Welcome, Sam.
Hey, guys.
You're looking sharp, Sam. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just played your video, Sam.
Yes, I saw that because I joined as a guest. So yeah.
That is a Dr. Susan Davis. She's a doctor of nursing practice. She does teach. She trains a lot of nurses around the country. Sam is a senior director in the Salesforce. He's in healthcare and he talks. I met him in a quantum computing a long time ago. Then I met him second time here. Very knowledgeable guy, I think. Sam, tell us, doctors, people pretending to understand the agents. Really tell us a little bit what the agents do exactly. What do you think of agents in healthcare, what they can do? I just asked you that question. You did answer, but a lot of noise up there. We would like to listen to you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the opportunity. So I'll start off with a basic definition of the agent, right? Because there is a lot of momentum around AI agents and all that. But if you ask 10 different people about what the agents are, you get 10 different definitions. So let's first start with a simple definition of agents. And the way I define AI agents is think of an AI agent as a semi-autonomous to autonomous entity, which can use LLM as a brain, as a reasoning layer, and it has a concept of memory, which means this autonomous to semi-autonomous entity has a concept of memory like humans, and it can take actions. It can take actions using its reasoning service while connected to LLM as its brain, right?
No, so agents have the memory that you said.
Yes.
Where is this memory? That's a lot of memory requirement, right? So agents have memory of everything, a lot of actions. So where this memory storage is going to be done?
Yeah, so at Salesforce, for example, we use Data Cloud. We use both in session memory for shorter term memory, and then we have longer term persistence with Data Cloud. In case of other companies like Google, for example, right? Google has a lot of different offerings, including BigQuery, including Postgres database, including NoSQL database. So in terms of, I think the storage, it's not an issue in terms of where the memory for the agent would be. It's more about scaling the agents. It's more about performance of the agents, because if the memory is readily available, right? So for example, we have an agent which is helping with scheduling the doctors, right? That agent needs to know that, hey, Susan, I've worked with her before. I know her schedule. I know the craziness of her scheduling and all that. So that part of memory plays a really pivotal part in terms of making sure that the agents understand the persona and then be able to take actions on behalf of the users. It's otherwise, think of the agents as you're dealing with someone with dementia, right? And then you're like, hey, the agent's coming back like, what did you say before? I forgot. Like, by the way, who you are? I don't even know you. So how can I help you? Right?
You need a memory is very key.
Yeah.
So
memory.
Sam, it seems like in the era of agents, we're creating a digital workforce. I mean, the more and more I read about these agents, is they're a digital workforce. We do workforce training. They have to have their credentials. They have to eventually they'll be more autonomous, right? They'll form teams. They'll have job descriptions. I'm wondering, will they be competitive?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are going into the world where there are going to be, hundred thousands, and if Dr. Ramesh was here, he'll say millions of agents because he's creating the agentic web registry, a DNS-like registry of agents, right? I mean, I see it as in the baseball terms like the first innings of the agents, right? Where we are just starting off. We are seeing use cases where maybe there are 2 agents involved, 3 agents involved. But to your point, we will scale in the next few years to hundreds of thousands of agents and agents with competing capabilities. And then think of it a scenario where, and that's where I introduced the concept of agent card in the A2A protocol. So when we started working with Google start of the year, we started brainstorming like, hey, what does that agent to agent protocol looks like? And the foundational concept of that is, like you said, agent needs to identify itself, authenticate itself, what are the capabilities of the agents are, where in the DNS registry it's found, what is that unique URL, and then also having a digital signature, right? But then it also, you can extend that concept with trustworthiness of agents, right? We are also thinking like, hey, are there different dimensions of trust relating to different verticals, right? Where,
And
to
how
your
is that
point,
verified? I'm so curious as to how you're going to verify their credentials, from their card. Who's doing that verification and how often? And will they age
exactly.
out, right? Won't they age out of this digital workforce? Because certainly new youngster, better, faster versions will be coming up as well.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting analogy. Or the other way to think about also is that as agents mature more, right? Maybe they don't phase out; they become more and more capable and powerful because now these agents remember all the previous jobs they have done, and through reinforcement learning, they are becoming more and more intelligent, right? So I see it, the pattern going in that direction.
Not the young whippersnapper new agent coming in and knocking out the older, slower.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, the trust is a. Can you hear me? Somebody said that my. I
Yeah,
don't know
we can hear
why.
you.
Can you hear me? You can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Let me
Loud
ask you a question. If there is a conflict between the agents, how do you resolve that? Because there's Dr. Ramesh Raskar is talking about trillions of agents, millions of agents. If they conflict, the 2 agents conflict, who is the ultimate decision maker for that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think somewhat of an unsolved problem right now.
That is
Because
unsolved problem. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, maybe there are startup companies working on that, but the way we are thinking, or I'm thinking around this idea is in two dimensions, right? So one is the concept of like, hey, if there are 2 agents or 3 agents and they are, going in some sort of a loop, or they're arguing with each other and there is no result coming out, right? We need to have some kind of guardrails, right? So that's where the guardrails concept comes in. Like, hey, where do you get the agents out of the loop, with the concept of guardrails, and also more importantly, human in the loop, right? So initially, I think it's very, very important to have human in the loop, where if the agents are not able to solve a particular task working with each other, there is some kind of a timeout mechanism where like, hey, the task is automatically going to be passed over to a human, right? So a delegation to human. To your point, it could also be if they're fighting with each other, escalation to human, right? And if there is not an escalation to human, maybe there is an agent you can assign as an escalating agent, right? So like in the
Yeah.
concept of medical world, right? You have like a supervisor doctor or a supervisor nurse, right? And that person comes in and breaks the tie.
It's
So I have
amazing. Yeah,
sorry,
just a
Ramona.
minute. Let me bring Dr. Reddy on the
Oh, yeah,
table.
okay.
Dr. Reddy, come on camera and you can ask questions. Welcome, Dr. Reddy. Welcome to the MedBix webcast.
Good evening, Dr. Reddy.
I think we
Oh,
can hear you.
I think you're on mute.
You're on mute, or the MacBook has a little bit problems with that MacBook. You just see why it is.
It says host is muted.
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, okay.
Are you
We can
sure?
hear you now.
I think okay. Well, good evening.
Welcome to the
Interesting
MedBix
discussion.
webcast. Did you hear the Sam? That is the Dr. Susan Davis, and she is my
Yes,
co-host.
yes,
And
I've been
then
listening.
Sam Sharaf is a he's a senior director in the Salesforce, and he
Wow.
did a lot of health cloud, and he worked on a lot of healthcare platforms. So Dr. Reddy is oncologist, he's joining from Dallas, Texas. Dr. Reddy, tell us a little bit about what do you think of. So you have questions for him, Sam? What is the future
Well,
of AI?
I kind of missed the interaction because I was trying to transition from the LinkedIn version to this um, to the
Yeah.
restream, so it took me a while. But I missed part of your discussion. But I think what you're describing is agentic AI and how you would be using that in your platform, Frontier. What solution are you working on? Is it also EHR or EMR, or is it further than that, Sam?
Yeah, I think
Where is the Salesforce is trying to do the medical the actual agents in the healthcare system? You think?
It seems like there's so many companies looking at that same problem, right? I mean, you mentioned the Stanford group is working. Can you hear me?
yeah, we
Yeah, we
can hear
can
you.
hear you perfectly
Oh,
well.
yeah. It seems like so many people are because it's a data-driven issue, and so many companies, it appears, are working on similar solutions. How do you differentiate in this space? How do you differentiate as a company? And because Epic is working on their own thing. We were mentioning how it's, I guess, there's bridging between EMR softwares is difficult, but I think that's innate because these companies are competitors, and so partially they don't want you to have their software. Like Epic does not want other companies to have their, bridge into their system without paying an API or whatever. So that's, the challenge is created by the companies rather than an issue that's present at times. I think so. How would you propose, I guess, that you're different from all these other companies, and what is your, I guess, pathway to this solution?
Yeah, those are great questions, Dr. Reddy, and thank you for bringing that perspective. And I fully agree with you. I think Epic is a very closed system, right? And in some ways, it has a monopoly on, in terms of, especially when it comes to physicians and nurses, how they engage with the system, keeps patients' records or track patients' progress and all that. That's currently been all done in Epic, right? We worked with, so my healthcare experience last year, we worked with some of the two large providers, namely Kaiser Permanente and UCSF. And both of them, of course, use Epic. But when we look at healthcare use cases, what we found interesting was that with AI agents, we can start small, right? So it's hard to right now penetrate into Epic to really start breaking down into some of the use cases, which would be really, really relevant, especially for physicians. But when it comes to, let's say, um, improving productivity of support people who are taking calls, for helping schedule appointments for patients, for automating some of the very manual tasks which are involved outside of Epic. I think those are some of the low-hanging fruits which we are trying to solve with using AI agents. And then what we are also finding is companies like Kaiser, they actually have built their own data platform connected to
Yeah,
Epic, which the data can be moved out of Epic and used. But then that also means, you end up creating a complex system to go around a system which is closed. So I think there are still, like to your point, there's challenges around HIPAA compliance, right? There are challenges around patients' privacy. There are challenges around how much information these hospitals can actually share in the realm of AI. So
yeah,
it's going to be a journey, right? Especially in the healthcare industry, which is heavily regulated. But I think the where the AI comes in is um, right now a lot of it is in research, right? You probably read articles where AI can now does early prediction of some types of cancer, right?
sure.
Which is detected late stage can do that. But in the context of our discussion in AI agents, I think if an AI agent can be there with a physician like yourself and say like, hey, Dr. Reddy, here is your week look like. and here are the patients you're visiting. And based on the
Yeah.
previous meetings, I'm looking at the notes. Here are the action items, and that helps you transition from one patient to the other or providing care much more effectively.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think one of the challenges taking specifically an oncology world, every world is different, right? I mean, every specialty is different. In our specialty, I think the data interoperability, for example, I'm a radiation oncologist, the data from there going into a different system like Epic, for example, is very difficult. And it's currently not done, actually. So, it's not only the issue of the language systems, but it's a whole different kind of data, I guess, and it's DICOM and very different types of data that are coming in. So I think one of the biggest solutions that's up and coming with what companies such as yours and others is that we're going to be able to add these agents or all of this data together. Once you have that, then you have solutions. Then you have these predictability models. But you need all of the data, demographics, along with their labs and their new genomics. You have to add all of that together and their treatment outcomes and all of that together. Then you can piece that data together to make something. But Innovator is another company that's doing this kind of work, and there's so many other companies. I just wonder how, and you seem to, Salesforce has a big leeway into the scheduling type of software that you've done for other companies, I would believe, and transferring into the medical space makes sense. I find it interesting. I have a specific interest in the oncology world, but I find all of this very interesting.
Yeah, and before you joined here, Susan and I were discussing that trustworthiness of agents, which becomes very important in the medical world, right?
Yep.
And then how do you verify the trustworthiness of agent, right? For example, in your practice, if we give you an agent, right, has that agent been actually verified by some reliable agency, which says like, hey, this agent is HIPAA compliant, and we have verified its identity, so it has some kind of a verified badge available. So those are again, concepts which do not exist yet, but that's the world which I believe we are going.
Uber solved that problem, right? Trust problem. Stranger getting into stranger's car. Yeah, the Uber solved that trust problem, right? So they created a mapping and created the social networks of each passenger and the driver, right? That they solved that kind of a trust problem different way. So maybe that Susan, tell us a little bit about what do you think of trust? What is the trust in the medical field from a nursing point of view? And patients trust nurses better.
I'm not sure if it's your microphone. It's there's a feedback somewhere. I'm having a hard time hearing you, Ramana.
I think it's not my field. Is it my phone? My phone?
I couldn't understand. I didn't hear your question. I apologize, but I'll tell you what's maybe just a little different angle to this. A question that I've been having, from someone like myself. I am a founder of I'm moving into the tech space right now as we speak. From a startup perspective, the largest organization. I know we're iterating and iterating and iterating. From a cost standpoint, how do we budget for these changes at the speed that they're coming in? So they're big changes, right? From an agent today to an agent by the end of this year or into 2026. How does that look? And is that a crazy question? How do you plan? You plan today, what's available, but no. Sorry, Sam?
Oh, I was going to ask Dr. Reddy and Ramana about their feedback about that.
I think it's unpredictable. I mean, there's so many variables to that question that I don't think it's that predictable. But I think cost reduction is probably one of the aims, right? I mean, improving productivity by using these agents obviously decreases labor force, and that's going to cause a huge disruption in some means. And so I think there's so much unpredictability behind that. That's what creates a lot of stress for a lot of people right now, I think, because it's moving so fast paced. And every year, I mean, ChatGPT's only been around since what, a couple of years now. So, I mean, just language that you're saying that, and and we're kind of trying to interpret agentic AI was very foreign to us just a few months ago. So, I mean, we're moving into this era so quickly that I think this is a big disruption that's it feels like will happen. It's happening, and if you don't predict it, if you don't take part in it, I think as you're doing, Susan, as you're as all in this meeting you're doing, we don't take part in it, I think we're at a loss. So
That's
I
for
don't
sure.
know whether he saw. I don't know whether he saw that or not. My voice is cranking up, I think. Whether he saw that or not, Stanford came up with the Chat GPT EMR. I think I don't know whether you were there presentation.
yeah.
They were talking about universal EMR. So that means
What
so all the Epic and everything will be gone.
Ramana, they were saying he was saying that he's using multiple agents, not just ChatGPT, as I understood it. Is that correct? And
Yeah.
I mean,
No. Yeah.
yeah.
He
So
did.
he was using multiple different sources for, and ChatGPT
No,
was one of them, and they were using all of them to see which one's more accurate in certain situations. I think the universal EMR is a great idea. I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea. It's security and privacy. There's so many issues that Susan was saying, regulation. I think those are the issues that I think of at the top of my head. How do you trust such a system? I mean, we say that, I mean, we have so much as far as security issues. And I think that's one of the major issues when you create something universal. How do we trust Stanford? I mean, how would we trust Epic as we do? How do we trust these systems to make sure that they're secure, right? I mean, even if they're on, Amazon, AWS or whatever, I mean, how do we trust the system? That's really one of the major questions. But beyond that, I think it's a brilliant idea. I think, if you do this and we could have mobile records everywhere that secure your own signature digitally, I think that's a fantastic idea. I think we're coming to that in some form, but security is probably one of the primary concerns that I would have.
Right. Yeah. Especially in a
Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially in a heavy regulated industry with patient privacy is concerned, HIPAA compliance is concerned, and all that. I think the verifiability of the agents, the security, the trust layer, all of that needs to be of paramount importance. And I think there needs to be a lot of innovation before disruption can happen there.
I'm going to play a video from Dr. Ramesh Raskar that he was talking about. Dr. Reddy, you may be interested. He says that he can solve the problem of a holy grail of a cancer cure.
Yeah.
So let us talk about ChatGPT Universal. You may be skeptical, but let me play that. Let me play that for a little bit. Yeah, just a 2-minute video from them. So Ramesh Raskar is an MIT professor. He is a very well recognized man, and he's a friend of mine. But let me tell you, what he says that millions of agents can create this. Millions of agents can create this thing. Just move that little.
What else is that?
Okay, that's the okay.
And the way they interact with each other might be able to solve much bigger problems than downloading one solution from one API of one large model and what it can do. And if you think about models today, they're already doing that. They do reasoning by reasoning. They're simply calling different aspects of a model or different models to work together. It's just that all of those models are sitting on one company's machine. And I think the way it's going to work out, whether it's health or finance, all these models will be sitting in different people's computers, all the agents, and you can call them up to get things done for yourself.
Can you give me one example of a micro AI?
Our technical difficulties tonight are many.
Hey, this is Ramana Anamraju from Medbricks. This is Dr. Anurag Barbie, Dr. Barbie. Let me ask you a question. We just finished a session on the ChatGPT using as a prompt for the AI, the ChatGPT as a vehicle for the physicians. What do you think? What is the immediate use for the physicians in the ChatGPT? What is the immediate use?
Yeah, the main use that they have is, actually being able to assimilate patients' historical information, right? What their history of illness is, and all this information is actually buried in notes, which are all natural language. So we basically scour through those notes and try to answer the relevant questions for the patient.
There is another problem with one area. You're an Indian physician. With the name itself will suggest you, there is a self-contradiction. If there is a patient with a self-contradiction, it's a problem for ChatGPT. So where patient comes back with the conflicting information, how do you resolve that? ChatGPT resolve or can give it can create a problems. ChatGPT, how do you resolve that?
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, all these tools that we are providing, the final decision maker is the physician themselves. It's their responsibility. We are augmenting them with all these tools. So they're learning how to use them. And then at the end of the day, they make the final decision based on all the information, whether it's the information that the patient provides them or it's in the chart or through the discussion that they learn.
Why are you using only ChatGPT? Suppose if you have a problem like that, why don't you use the multiple LLMs, feed the same data, and then you have a validation of your data of the prompt?
So we're not just using ChatGPT, we are using multiple LLMs in the backend. In fact, the LLMs is something that the way we have architected the solution is we're not necessarily tied to one specific. In fact, I think Dr. Nigam Shah talked about our evaluation regime, where we actually benchmark all these models. And then we make decisions based on the tasks that which LLM provides what task better. We pick that dynamically.
There is a big mistrust among physicians with the EMR, electronic medical record, micro AI. So we have
and help the new physicians.
will be intelligence. One big factory, 10 billion data center will control entire universe, or a few people can control the entire intelligence. It's a very narrow wrecking. So what your idea of micro AI, how does it solve that kind of a fear?
I mean, there's an opportunity to think about, billions, maybe trillions of AI agents, and think of each of them as having a micro AI, and the way they interact with each other might be able to solve much bigger problems than downloading one solution from one API of one large model and what it can do. And if you think about models today, they're already doing that. They do reasoning by reasoning. They're simply calling different aspects of a model or different models to work together. It's just that all of those models are sitting on one company's machine. And I think the way it's going to work out, whether it's health or finance, all these models will be sitting in different people's computers, all the agents, and you can call them up to get things done for yourself.
Can you give me one example of a micro AI solving some problem in a small village?
Yeah.
Like 1,000 phones. Micro AI, what problem it can solve in a small?
Imagine, Ramana, if there's some kind of a health issue and a particular patient has a specific question about, hey, here's my radiology pathology reports and this is my condition, what's the best treatment plan? And right now you can go to a big LLM, start asking those questions, but may not have the guidance. But imagine all these micro AIs, one agent is expert at x-rays, one agent is expert at blood work, another agent is expert at a particular health condition. They can all have a debate with you, a discussion with you, and give you the best solution. But in addition to that, there is some other group of micro AI that can give you a second opinion about your treatment plan as well. So you can imagine, a marketplace of many agents that can work together to give you the health advice.
Final question I'm going to ask you about the holy grail of healthcare is, you think these new AI models will eventually find out the root causes of the diabetes or chronic diseases and the cancer. You think that is possible?
But if you think about healthcare right now, most of the time the research progress is stymied, slowed down because of access to data. If you can somehow look at all the data in the world, I would argue that you can solve most health problems overnight. But clearly you cannot centralize all that data. But if you have all these micro agents working on data that's distributed all over the world, then in fact you can centralize the intelligence by asking all these micro AIs. But although you cannot centralize that data.
Ramesh, you are going against the grain of Silicon Valley, the big companies. You're trying to do micro AI, giving the power to the individuals.
Right.
How does it work in this world, the practical world?
I think we need the big AI companies to actually solve these problems. I think the big AI companies are actually going to create these smaller models as well, but we're going to train all these models on our own data. So the products might come from big tech companies, but the way we train those AI models will be done it by ourselves.
Thank you, Ramesh. It's wonderful. Yeah.
So that's super interesting, Sam. That nano project is amazing. I wonder, can you help me understand the difference between an agent registry versus an agent exchange, and then something I think you work closely with is an AI engine. What's the difference between the three?
Well, let's start with the agent registry. So agent registry is very much like think of it as a DNS kind of registry. Dr. Ramesh and I have been talking about this, and what he envisions, which I agree, is as the agent scale to as many as there are people in the world, right? There needs to be some kind of a DNS like distributed registry, agentic web registry, where these agents can reside, be registered with their agent card, which is introduced in the A2A protocol, right? And then based on these agent cards, these agents are able to find each other. So for example, it's very similar to you go ahead, you buy a new laptop and you connect it to the network, right? And without your knowledge, the MAC address of the computer is now registered on the network. And the domain name service registry enables you to basically be able to connect with other computers and systems around the world, right? And it's all very seamless. So the same concept is going to apply in the concept of agentic web registry, is that as new agents come into the system, because of the foundational commonality, which in the case of internet was remember the TCP/IP protocol, as well as the standardization of how packets or the data will be sent across the network, right? With very similar to the postal service, right? So very similar model, I believe, will emerge in the case of agents, where once we have these millions of agents, they are able to communicate seamlessly with each other, come online, go offline, get the job done, discover other agents, and all that, right? Interchangeably, I think some folks are calling it agent exchange as agent registry. So it could be one or the other. And then I think there is the agent engine, right? So agent engine is Google recently announced agent engine, which is basically a tool where it provides the underlying platform for running the agents or the underlying SDK and necessary tools. So that's a short answer to your question.
Thank you. Because I mean, if you start with one agent, it's got to live somewhere, and now we're making agent cities, and what you just described, or what the Nanda project described as agent universes. So now they're going to be in there exchanging, doing their work, and I'm wondering they're going to be in there. And right now, some of the examples that we have on there, there's amazing things they can do right now. The example of Ramana's small village in India and using it for diagnostics. I mean, that's pretty cool, but it's doing a lot more. Finances. I mean, it's unlimited. Like you said, the number of people in the world. So there's going to be so many ways. And that's what made me start thinking about the skills verification. So they're going to be in here registering. They've got their badge. Who's verifying? Are they verified? And then how are they going to be categorized? Because there's as many agents as there is, like you said, humans, and their skill sets are that varied. Very fascinating.
Reddy, what do you think of that? Millions of agents in the villages and all those universe itself. I'm not sure, but he's a good friend of mine, Ramesh Raskar. He is a brilliant guy. What do you think of that idea of doctors accepting one patient has 1,000 agents working for them? What that because ultimately you're responsible for the health of the patient, you and Susan. So you need to decide how that works. So tell us a little bit about that. What do you think of that in the
I'm having a lot of difficulty hearing. Are others having the same? There's a lot of static in the background. It just stopped. So it might have been mine. I'm not sure. I think I heard your question, which is what do I think about these kind of agentic AI helping patients, and ultimately you're the decision maker. I think that's the future that we see. I mean, this is, I mean, based on what this is a wonderful discussion, by the way. I've never heard the word micro AI, so I'm learning a lot. So I appreciate that knowledge, but I think that concept of micro AI, we're using different computers and getting all this data. The problem is the data, right? So if we have the data, and if we could reliably believe that the data is accurate, that's another question when we're putting this together, right? I mean, whenever you're using a system or having a system learn something, you have to rely on the data being accurate. And that those and the variables that we have to account for any research, any study, any clinical study, are the variables. Can we make up for the variability of the data that we're receiving, patient age or this and that, and the treatment that they're receiving, and all the comorbidities and the medications that they're on, this and that. Can we decipher all that? And AI likely will be able to give us much more information. And soon, and even if we use ChatGPT now and ask a question and show it's our image, chest X-ray, what have you, it'll now do what we're discussing. It'll detect what at not an agentic level probably, but that's what it perceives the disease process is. A plant, we take it outside and take a picture of a plant, it'll do the same. So it already has, ChatGPT 5 already has some of this layering that with multiple of its own agents, but you can only see what this could be in a few years. I mean, the intelligence and the questions that we'll be asking, as a physician, we've studied so long, and all of us, we've studied so long to get to where we are, right? Intelligence doesn't seem like it's important.
Yeah, none of this was available through my doctoral work. I didn't have any magic buttons on the ChatGPT in my education.
I think the world is going to change for good some extent, particularly healthcare. That even I was listening, the Godfather of the AI is talking about it. I think is going to be the future is going to be very different. I think the mic is coming problem from you, Dr. Reddy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, your mic is a problem. You're using earpods, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some radiation coming from your mic.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a.
Like all good. It's funny. I've been spending a lot of time in the workforce training area. That's what I do. I'm in education, workforce training, workforce development. So a lot of the crossovers, as I've been reading about this stuff, looking at this digital workforce, everything goes back to education, right? So based on what Dr. Reddy was just saying, who's building these brains? I mean, who's responsible for the brains of these agents upstream a little bit, right? We always have issues and we go upstream to the education and then downstream to the problem with the skills verification in the registry. So it's a really giant web of iterations between now and gosh knows.
Final question to Sam for you. What is Salesforce thinking? What is their next step? What they're thinking in the future of your game in the healthcare side?
So I'm actually not. So our healthcare cloud is different than the department I'm in, but I loved what Susan mentioned earlier, right? I think I think one of the two challenges I see, right? So one is making agents trustable, verifiable, and then having end-to-end observability when it comes to agentic interactions. Because I think one of the questions you had asked earlier was around like, hey, how do you trust agents, or how do you, like, if they go into a loop, or if they are arguing with each other, how do you get around that? So I think having a layer of governance, having a layer of observability, traceability, all of that becomes really important, right? And that's where I'm seeing, especially in the case of healthcare, is that's one area I see really taking off. The other area I see is what Susan was saying, is that LLM as their brain, right? So Dr. Silvio, who leads our AI research at Salesforce, he's been a big fan of small, fine-tuned models, which are fine-tuned for industry-specific verticals. And I see that agents being able to use that fine-tuned brain, right? So the agents are, pretty much as powerful as, or as effective as their brain, just like we humans, right? We rely on our brain for reasoning and taking actions and all that. So think of it as, if agents are taking their reasoning and they're taking actions, they're relying on something, and that something is primarily an LLM. And if LLM is fine-tuned, especially on medical use cases and stuff, that makes the agents much more effective and more powerful, right? So far we have been talking more in the context of agent as singular entities, but we also need to expand that horizon to more including what kind of brain they have, right? And what kind of reasoning capabilities they have, and how they are taking actions, and those actions are monitorable, traceable, with some kind of policies applied and all that.
With memory rather than dementia, as we spoke at the beginning.
Exactly. Yes,
Really good
exactly.
short-term and long-term memory.
Yes.
It's Sam. The last question, I think it may be interest to all of us. When when I met you first time, there's the quantum computers conference, right?
Yes.
What do you think of quantum computers and the AI together? It is like steroid. AI is on steroids. What do you think? What is that? Is a really unlimited possibility, same time scary threat, kind of a scary stuff. So what do you think of that? What do you think in the direction of the quantum computing plus chat gpt kind of a ais together?
Yeah, I think if quantum computing takes off, because I haven't really followed lately, so I have to admit that I have not been very close to that area. I know IBM has been making some strides in that area, but still, I think quantum computing is financially and power resource, and all that is not to the point where it can be generally made available. But I think if it gets there, when it gets there, maybe there's a question of when, not if. Then I think it would totally transform also, all the power requirements, because we are seeing like, hey, to power these LLMs, there's a lot of energy, power, and all that requirements, right? So to your point, maybe quantum computing in combination with LLMs can help scale to that vision of what Dr. Ramesh was saying, millions of agents.
Dr. Reddy, what do you think of that? This we think we'll find eventually with the quantum computers and AI together, find the solution for this big threat, cancer. You think cancer is the holy grail of the diseases that we need? We are really that is one of the threats that is a really quality of life and everything is a big problem. You think this chat GPT and the AIs and the millions of micro AIs can solve this problem? I think.
Can y'all hear? Am I sounding okay?
Yeah,
Still,
we can hear you a little bit. Yeah, I think you need to get external mic. That's the problem. You must be
That might
using
be
earpod.
a time to call it a day, call it a night there, Ramana.
Yeah, you-
yeah.
you're not doing very well, Dr. Reddy. We're not. It is not. Yeah,
Dr. Reddy,
yeah. I had
Maybe we can
to.
wrap it up.
that's a no-go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you,
It is
Sam.
a wonderful meeting you and a wonderful seeing you again. I think we need to sit down and talk together one day when we have coffee, and then we'll bring
Sure.
Susan to the table, and then she will fly down here. I think we can help. Me and Susan really can help in the next level. We understand Dr. Reddy, people like that. I think we can help. We are very few people that understand even the AI, what is going on. A lot of doctors, they're very external to the whole process. People like Susan and Dr. Reddy, they're like actively involved. So you need to attract those people, and the companies must be aware of all of us. And then that's the reason I started this podcast. I think we will be great addition to the any kind of a new things you're going to start. We will be helpful to you. Anything if you need. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you for coming on the show. We will have a one day complete discussion about the agents on just complete. You can tell about from A to Z about that agents, how they move, how they do it. So Susan has a lot of questions. She doesn't trust her agent. She says so. We will ask her. We want to find out how those agents. How can she make her trust agents?
Well,
Thank
thank you, Sam. Pleasure to meet you. Connection truly is the
Yes.
key. It's all about relationships and collaboration. So really a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Of course.
Thank you
My
all.
pleasure.
Good night, all of you. Good night. Good night. Thank you so much, Sam. Thanks for coming.
We are retail. We are retail.
What is going on?
We are retail.
Oh my goodness.
We are retailing their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it